Iran's new sea mines and drone boats shut down the Strait of Hormuz. On the 10th of March, IRGC Navy official Mohammed Akbarzad declared that the Strait of Hormuz is under the complete control of Iran. Hours later, President Trump said the strait is safe. That is a lie. Iran has started dropping mines into the Strait of Hormuz, a few dozen so far across 4 miles of usable water. That is the entire corridor through which 1/IF of the world's crude oil is supposed to flow. Iran has also deployed explosive drone boats packed with warheads that detonate on impact. Mines in the water, drone boats on the surface, 13 ships hit, 6 crew dead, 3 more attacked today. And as of day 12 of Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. Navy has not escorted a single commercial vessel through that waterway, not one. The Strait of Hormuz is shut down. In the next few minutes, you'll see what American media has been hiding from you, and I'm going to break down exactly how Iran shut down the most important oil choke point on the planet. Here is how total the shutdown is. Mark stopped sending ships, CMAC GM stopped, Hoploid stopped, 3 major Japanese carriers stopped, not because Iran told them to, because no insurance company on earth will cover the trip. Protection and indemnity insurance was formally withdrawn. On March the 5th, Lloyd's of London warned that ship owners will remain reluctant, even with government-backed coverage. Without insurance, ships do not sail. It does not matter how many Navy vessels are in the Gulf. Before the war, 138 commercial ships transited every 24 hours, now near zero. Hundreds of ships sit idle in the Gulf. 15 million barrels per day of crude and 4.5 million barrels of refined fuels are stranded. Oil spiked toward $120 recently. Brent crude is up more than 20% since fighting began. Iraq and Kuwait have no pipeline alternative. Their oil is trapped. Gulf storage tanks are filling up. When they are full, producers stop pumping. And Iran used less than 1% of its available mine stockpile to make all of this happen. That last line is not an exaggeration. So let me show you exactly what is sitting in that water. Most people think Iran's mine threat is just cheap explosives tossed overboard from fishing boats. The reality is far more layered. Iran fields at least 5 categories of mine with increasing lethality. The Sodaf 01 and M08 are basic contact mines. First World War era design, worth $500 each. They float, they detonate, they work. The MDM6, Russian designed, is a bottom influence mine with an 1100 kilo warhead. It sits on the seafloor and triggers on the magnetic, acoustic, or pressure signature of a passing ship. Iran holds roughly 600 units of the Russian MDM3, an advanced variant that can be dropped from aircraft. The most dangerous weapon in the stockpile is the Chinese origin EM-52, a rocket-propelled rising mine. It rests on the ocean floor, waits for a ship to pass overhead, then fires a rocket upward carrying a 600 lb warhead, deployable in waters 600 ft deep. The MC-52 uses a non-magnetic shell specifically designed to defeat mine-sweeping gear. Iran also manufactures its own acoustic, free-floating, and Remotech-controlled mines on production lines built with Chinese technical assistance. 5 generations of mine technology from 4 countries. 12 days of airstrikes have barely dented the stockpile. The cost math is staggering. $2,500 for a contact mine, $25,000 for an influence variant against a $150 million supertanker, or an Arleigh Burke class destroyer worth $1.8 billion. Naval mines have caused 77% of all American warship casualties since 1950, the Navy's own records. In 1988, one Iranian mine nearly sank the USS Samuel B. Roberts and injured 10 sailors. Reagan hit back by sinking 3 Iranian warships, but Reagan had dedicated minesweepers forward were deployed in the Gulf. That distinction matters enormously right now. On approximately March the 2nd, Iran crossed a threshold that makes reopening the strait even harder. An explosive-laden unmanned surface vessel, a kamikaze drone boat, struck the oil tanker MD Vam, roughly 52 nautical miles off Muscat. Oman's Maritime Security Center confirmed the hit. That was Iran's first verified combat kill using a maritime drone boat. The technology has moved from testing to deployment. Iran and its healthy allies pioneered this capability. The Houthis used drone boats during the Red Sea campaign, striking the bolt carrier M Vitud in 2024. Ukraine proved the same concept against Russia's Black Sea Fleet, effectively pushing warships out of Crimean waters using cheap unmanned vessels. Now picture drone boats operating alongside a minefield. Mines force ships to slow down and follow predictable cleared channels, and slow-channeled ships are easy targets for a fast-surface drone. Mines shut the strait down. Drone boats make sure it stays shut. As of today, 13 or more commercial vessels have been struck since February 28th. The American-flagged Stena Imperative hit twice in Bahrain port. One worker killed. The Thai Meyer Nari set ablaze this morning. A tugboat sent to rescue the Safine Prestige was struck by 2 missiles and sank. 3 crews still missing. 6 seafarers confirmed dead across all incidents. Now look at what the U.S. did in response, and more importantly, what America said while doing it. Trump posted on Truth Social that the United States had no reports of Iran laying mines and demanded their immediate removal. 13 minutes later, on the same platform, he announced the destruction of 10 inactive mine-laying boats, with more to follow. Central Command later revised that figure upward to 16. You do not launch a preemptive strike against 16 vessels tied to a threat you publicly insist does not exist. The word inactive, used by Defense Secretary Pete H. Guest in his follow-up post, tells you these boats were not caught in the act. They were hit based on intelligence about what they were about to do. The denial and the strike happened on the same afternoon. They do not fit together, and it got worse. Energy Secretary Chris Wright posted that the Navy had successfully escorted an oil tanker through the strait. White House Press Secretary Caroline Light then confirmed the Navy had done no such thing. Wright deleted the post. American crude prices dropped nearly $10 on the original false claim before bouncing back when the correction came through. Billions of dollars moved on a single deleted social media post from a sitting cabinet secretary. The global energy pricing system is now reacting in real time to statements that the administration itself cannot keep straight. The 16 mine layers Central Command destroyed were sitting on the surface. What Iran constructed deep underground and chose to broadcast footage of this very week during an active war is the reason why destroying surface assets barely moves the needle. Iranian state media this week rebroadcast footage originally released in 2025 showing massive underground tunnel complexes carved into the Iranian coastline. The tunnels belong to the IRGC's Naval Division. The video shows long, hardened corridors packed with fast attack boats, anti-H-ship cruise missiles, and what appear to be naval mines stored hundreds of meters beneath rock, shielded from airstrikes and satellite surveillance. The timing of this broadcast is the message. You do not resurface tunnel footage during an active war for entertainment. You do it to tell your enemy that everything they destroyed on the surface was replaceable. The IRGC built these underground launch facilities over decades as the backbone of a swarm warfare doctrine in the Strait of Hormuz. Hidden fast boats armed with rockets, missiles, and mines ready to deploy from positions that cannot be reliably targeted from the air. Central Command destroyed 16 mine layers. Iran's tunnel infrastructure suggests hundreds more boats, thousands more mines, and shore-launched cruise missile batteries are sitting inside mountain networks that 12 days of bombing have not reached. The strait is shut down today, and Iran has the capacity to keep it shut down for months. And here is the vulnerability that makes reopening nearly impossible. The United States Navy decommissioned its last 4 dedicated minesweepers in the Persian Gulf in September 2025. 0 specialized mine countermeasures vessels are deployed anywhere in the region. The littoral combat ships carry mine clearance modules, but Naval News reports those systems have not reached full operational readiness. If those ships attempt to sweep mines in the strait, Iran will resist. That means minesweeping under fire inside a narrow corridor exposed to missiles, drone boats, and shore batteries simultaneously. Former CIA Director General David Petraeus, who once commanded Central Command, said on March the 11th that Iran's mine laying presents a real challenge. He noted the variety of mine types compounds the difficulty. He also stated plainly that regime change is not going to happen. Retired French Vice Admiral Pascal Aussure told the Associated Press that sending warships or civilians into the strait under current conditions would be suicidal. His word, not mine. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Caney told reporters the military is assessing options. Defense Secretary Hegst insists Iran's Navy is combat ineffective. 3 more ships were attacked today. The strait remains shut. Iran has threatened ships linked to the United States, Israel, and their allies, while China has pressed Thrawn for safe passage for some cargoes. Some Chinese and Iranian linked voyages appear to have continued, but that is not the same thing as a verified Chinese on only corridor. For most insured commercial shipping, the strait has been effectively closed, even if a limited number of politically protected voyages still move. Now, here is where both narratives fall apart. The American plan was to keep the strait open. It has been functionally shut for 12 days. The plan was to eliminate Iran's naval threat. 16 mine layers destroyed on the surface while underground. Tunnels remain untouched, and 80 to 90% of Iran's small boat fleet is intact. The plan was to escort tankers, not one escorted. The cabinet secretary who said otherwise deleted his post. The plan was to use insurance guarantees. Lloyd says it will not be enough. The plan was to render Iran's Navy combat ineffective. The IRGC is attacking ships daily. Iran's narrative fractures too. The IRGC declared complete control, but it cannot verify its most dramatic claim. Iran announced it struck the carrier USS Abraham Lincoln with naval drones and forced it over 1,000 kilometers back. No independent source has verified this. No damage imagery exists. If a carrier had been hit, it would be the most significant naval event since the Second World War, and nobody outside Tran can confirm it. Iran says it decides when the war ends. It rejected ceasefire proposals from China, France, and Russia, its own partners. The foreign ministry spokesman laid down two conditions: guarantee aggression will never recur and full acceptance of responsibility. He said it is not the case that they simply say ceasefire and we respond very well and it is finished. Setting conditions. Your adversary will never accept is not a path toward peace. It is a commitment to continuation. The IRGC doctrine phrase captures the entire philosophy: security for all or insecurity for all. The mines, the drone boats, the tunnels, the insurance collapse, all of it flows from one calculation. If Iran's security is broken, it will break security for the entire region. And right now, that calculation has shut down the most important oil choke point on the planet. Iran has turned down ceasefire requests from China, France, and Russia. Both governments insist they decide when this war ends. The real question is what happens when the storage tanks across the Gulf are completely full. The producers physically cannot pump another barrel, and the mines are still sitting on the seafloor. Because that deadline is not theoretical, it is already counting down. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate your support. Join the discussion in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think is winning the war? Do you think the war is getting out of hand? Let me know. And please subscribe and like the video if you want to stay updated. And click the video on the screen to see another. I'll see you soon.